The UES Thunderchild moved through space like a predator stalking its prey. Its dark hull, stretching nearly 2 kilometers in length, absorbed nearby starlight rather than reflecting it. Engineer Mary Stone stood at the observation window of the main engineering deck, admiring the ship she helped design. "Atlas, show me the reactor readings," she requested, and holographic displays sparkled to life around her. The dark matter reactor's core pulsed with energy that humans had only learned to harness 5 years ago. It was this technology that had first caught the alien Confederation's attention and their fear. "Reactor operating at 98% efficiency," Atlas reported. "All systems nominal. However, I detect unusual quantum fluctuations in the shield harmonics." Stone nodded, her fingers moving through the holographic data. "That's intentional. We're testing a new shield configuration. The aliens think they know everything about our capabilities. They're wrong." In the weapons control room 2 decks above, Tactical Officer Tom Reed was running combat simulations. Holographic projections showed the stellar gate's known defensive systems, while combat drones buzzed around in virtual space, testing different attack patterns. "Run it again," Reed ordered, watching as the simulation played out. This time, reduce power to the forward shields by 30%, but increased the rotation frequency. The simulation showed the Thunderchild approaching the gate under heavy fire. This time, the modified shield pattern caused several enemy energy beams to deflect at unexpected angles. Reed smiled. They were getting closer to a solution. Captain Walker's voice came over the ship-wide comm system. "All senior staff to the tactical room. We need to discuss our approach." Minutes later, the ship's key officers gathered around a large holographic table. The stellar gate floated above them in miniature, its defenses marked in red. "What have we learned?" Walker asked, looking at his team. Engineer Stone stepped forward first. "The gate's power source is unlike anything we've seen before, but it's not unbeatable. Their energy matrix has a distinct pattern. Like a heartbeat, there are microsecond gaps between pulses. Gaps we can exploit," Reed added, manipulating the hologram to zoom in on key sections. "Their defensive coverage isn't perfect. They rely on overwhelming force rather than precise targeting. It's wasteful." Walker studied the gate's rotating sections. "Atlas, what's your analysis?" The AI's calm voice filled the room as new data streams appeared in the hologram. "The alien Confederation designed this structure to be impenetrable based on their understanding of physics. However, they didn't account for human innovations in quantum shield technology. Their defenses are strong but rigid. They lack adaptability." The captain nodded slowly. "Show me the ship's new capabilities." The hologram shifted, displaying the Thunderchild's internal systems. Stone pointed to the reactor core. "We've modified the dark matter containment field. When pushed to maximum output, it creates a quantum resonance effect. Combined with our new shield configuration." She paused, allowing a small smile. "Well, let's just say physics gets interesting." "Interesting how?" Walker asked, leaning forward. Reed answered, "Their energy weapons won't just bounce off our shields, sir. We can absorb the power and redirect it. The more they throw at us, the stronger we become." "But we've never tested this at full scale," Stone added quickly. "The calculations work, but this is theoretical technology." Walker looked around the table at his crew. "Everything was theoretical once. The aliens think they've given us an impossible task. They expect us to fail, to tuck our tails between our legs and crawl back to Earth." He straightened up, his voice firm. "Instead, we're going to show them why humanity has advanced so quickly. We don't just use technology. We improve it. We adapt. We overcome." The hologram shifted again, showing their planned approach vector. "We'll reach the gate in 6 hours, Atlas reported. "Multiple alien vessels are gathering to observe our attempt." "Let them watch," Walker said. "Stone, begin power-up sequences for the reactor modifications. Reed, I want our weapons ready but powered down. Let them think we're coming in defensively. Atlas, Continue monitoring the gate's energy patterns. Look for any changes in their defensive routines. As the meeting ended and the officers returned to their stations, Walker remained, studying the holographic gate. The aliens had built it to be a symbol of their technological superiority. Soon, it would become a monument to their overconfidence. The Thunderchild's deep hum changed pitch, slightly as its systems began powering up. In 6 hours, they would make history, or become part of it. The neutral space station hung like a silver spider web against the backdrop of space. The UES Thunderchild approached slowly, its massive form dwarfing the diplomatic vessels gathered around the station. Inside the ship's main conference room, Captain Walker adjusted his dress uniform one final time. "Atlas, status report," he requested, watching through the viewport as they drew closer. 6 alien diplomatic ships detected. Representatives from the major Confederation species are present. Their weapons are powered down, but their scanning systems are very active. They are particularly interested in our reactor signature. Walker smiled slightly. Let them scan. They won't understand what they're seeing. The doors slid open, and Officer Brown entered. "Sir, the alien delegation is ready to meet. They're waiting in the station's main chamber." "Time to face our judges," Walker said, squaring his shoulders. "Stone, read with me. Atlas, maintain full shield coverage of the ship while we're gone." The station's docking procedure went smoothly, though Walker noticed the alien tech looked outdated compared to Earth's latest innovations. The human delegation walked through clean but simple corridors, their footsteps echoing on metal floors. They entered the main chamber to find 6 alien representatives seated at a curved table. Each looked different. Some had scales, others fur, and one appeared to be made of crystalline structures. But they all shared the same expression, barely hidden disdain. The largest alien, a massive being with deep blue scales, spoke first. "Captain Walker, I am High Council Leader Brightstone. We are here to formally present the terms of your challenge." Walker took his seat, keeping his expression neutral. "We've already accepted the challenge, Council Leader. Why the formal meeting?" A crystal-like alien chimed in, its voice creating musical notes. "Protocol must be followed. We must ensure you understand the consequences of failure." Or perhaps, Stone whispered from beside Walker, quiet enough that only he could hear, "They want to intimidate us up close." Brightstone's scales shifted color slightly. "Your species has advanced too quickly. In mere decades, you've achieved what took others centuries. This creates instability." "What creates instability?" Walker responded calmly, "is refusing to accept that different species might progress at different rates." The furry alien to Brightstone's left hissed softly. "You developed quantum shields and dark matter reactors within 5 years of each other. This is not natural progression." Walker leaned forward. "Not natural for you, perhaps, but humans have always learned fastest under pressure. The more challenges we face, the quicker we adapt. And that," Brightstone rumbled, "is precisely why you are dangerous. Your ship, this Thunderchild, already shows signs of technologies we don't fully understand. How can we trust a species that advances so aggressively?" "Trust." Walker stood up slowly. "This isn't about trust. This is about fear. You're not testing us. You're trying to put us in our place." The crystal alien surface flickered with light patterns. "The stellar gate has never been breached. Your attempt will demonstrate the natural order. Some species are meant to lead, others to follow." That's when Walker noticed something in the data pad in front of Brightstone. Reed saw it too, his tactical training kicking in. "Sir," Reed whispered, "those are battle plans. They're positioning ships behind the gate." Walker's expression hardened. "You never intended this to be a fair test. You've already mobilized your fleets, haven't you?" The chamber fell silent. Brightstone's scales darkened to a deep purple. "We are simply taking precautions." "No," Walker said, his voice firm. "You're planning to enforce quarantine whether we succeed or fail. This challenge is just political theater." Your ship will be destroyed by the gate's defenses, the furry alien stated flatly. When that happens, the Confederation will have justification to contain your species. Walker tapped his communicator. Atlas, send them the simulation data. Suddenly, holographic projections filled the chamber, showing detailed scans of the stellar gate's structure, along with careful analysis of its weaknesses. The alien representatives stared in shock. Impossible. The crystal being chimed. You couldn't have gathered this much data from long-range scans. Humanity doesn't believe in impossible, Walker stated, turning to leave. We'll see you at the gate, and when we break through, remember, you chose confrontation over cooperation. As they walked back to the Thunderchild, Stone spoke quietly. They're really afraid of us, aren't they? Walker nodded. Fear makes people do stupid things, even aliens. He tapped his communicator again. Atlas, plot a direct course to the Stellar Gate. It's time to show the Confederation exactly why they should have chosen diplomacy. Behind them, alarms began blaring through the station as the alien representatives realized just how badly they had underestimated humanity's capabilities. The Stellar Gate loomed before the Thunderchild, its massive ring structure blocking out the stars behind it. Energy pulses rippled across its surface like waves on a dark ocean. Captain Walker stood at the bridge's forward viewport, watching as they drew closer to humanity's greatest challenge. Multiple ships detected, Reed reported from his tactical station. The Confederation has positioned their fleet in a viewing formation. They're staying well back from the gate's defensive perimeter. Of course they are, Walker said. They want to watch the show. He turned to face his crew. Status report. Engineer Stone's fingers danced across her console. Dark matter reactor at full power. New shield configurations are ready. Atlas has synchronized the quantum harmonics with the gate's energy pattern. Speaking of patterns, Atlas chimed in, displaying new data on the main screen. I've detected something interesting. The gate's defensive grid follows a strict sequence. It's not random as they claimed. Walker studied the display. The gate's weapons were arranged in concentric rings, each powered by the central core. As they watched, energy pulses moved through the structure in a complex but predictable pattern. They're so confident in their superior firepower that they never bothered to introduce variants, Reed observed. It's like a clock, precise but inflexible. Stone moved to join them at the main display. Look at these energy readings. The power source. She paused, double-checking her data. Captain, they're using an obsolete form of quantum containment. Our reactor's dark matter field will interact with it in ways they haven't prepared for. Show me, Walker ordered. A new simulation appeared, showing the interaction between the Thunderchild's shields and the gate's defenses. When the ship's dark matter field encountered the gate's energy barriers, it created unusual ripple effects in both systems. Their overconfidence is their weakness, Reed said. They've been using the same defensive technology for thousands of years, never expecting anyone to develop a completely different approach. Walker nodded slowly. Atlas, begin active scans. I want to know everything about that structure. The AI complied, and streams of data began flowing across multiple screens. Gate composition is primarily unknown alloys, but the energy distribution network is visible to our quantum sensors, detecting multiple weak points where power flow is not optimized. The bridge crew watched as Atlas highlighted several sections of the gate where the energy pattern showed subtle flaws. Thousands of years of certainty in their superiority had made the Confederation blind to their creation's imperfections. Sir, Brown called from communications, we're receiving transmissions from several alien vessels. They're laughing at us. They think we're wasting time with scans instead of attacking. Let them laugh, Walker said. Stone, how long until the reactor's ready for our special modification? 10 minutes to full charge, she replied. The containment field is already showing the resonance effect we predicted. When we engage, it's going to do more than just protect us from their weapons. Reed's tactical display suddenly lit up with new warnings. The gate's automated defenses are activating. First wave of energy weapons powering up. Right on schedule, Walker said calmly. Take us in, half speed. Standard defensive pattern. Let's show them what they expect to see. The Thunderchild moved forward with deliberate grace, its conventional shields glowing as the first wave of defensive fire splashed against them. To the watching alien fleet, it looked like a brave but futile advance. Energy weapons at 40% power, Atlas reported. The gate is following its standard activation sequence. Defensive satellites deploying. Small automated weapons platforms emerged from the gate's structure, their ancient but powerful weapons charging. They'd moved to surround the Thunderchild in a precise, predictable pattern. They're boxing us in exactly as the simulations predicted, Reed said with a slight smile. They haven't modified their tactics in millennia. Walker returned to his command chair, watching as the trap closed around them. But unlike the thousands of ships that had faced this challenge before, the Thunderchild wasn't here to test itself against the gate's defenses. They were here to prove that humanity's greatest strength was its ability to see solutions where others saw only obstacles. Stone, begin power transfer to the modified shields. Reed, plot our course through their predictable kill box. Atlas, start the countdown. Walker's voice carried the calm confidence of someone who had already won. Let's show the galaxy why humanity deserves its place among the stars. Above them, the stellar gate blazed with energy, preparing to demonstrate its legendary power. It had no way of knowing it was about to become a lesson in the danger of underestimating human ingenuity. The first blast from the stellar gate struck the Thunderchild with enough force to vaporize a smaller ship. But instead of exploding, the human vessel's shields rippled with strange patterns of light. On the bridge, the crew remained calm as their ship absorbed the tremendous impact. Shield status, Walker asked, his voice steady despite the continuing barrage. Shields holding at 92%. Stone reported from her engineering station. The quantum resonance effect is working exactly as planned. Each hit is actually strengthening our field. The space around the Thunderchild had become a storm of energy weapons. The gate's defensive systems fired in precise, coordinated patterns that had destroyed countless ships over thousands of years. But something was different this time. Atlas, show me the gate's power readings, Walker commanded. A holographic display appeared, showing energy levels across the massive structure. With each blast that hit the Thunderchild's modified shields, small disruptions appeared in the gate's power grid. Their shots are weakening their own defenses, Reed observed with a slight smile. They never considered that someone might turn their energy against them. The ship shuddered as a new wave of automated defense satellites surrounded them. These ancient guardians launched salvos of quantum torpedoes, weapons designed to bypass conventional shields. Incoming torpedoes, Atlas announced. But their targeting systems are predictable. They haven't updated their attack patterns in centuries. Walker nodded. Execute defensive pattern Delta. Show them why humanity values adaptation. The Thunderchild moved with surprising grace for such a large vessel. Instead of trying to tank the torpedo hits, it performed a complex series of maneuvers that caused the torpedoes to crash into each other. The resulting explosions created a beautiful light show for the watching alien fleet. Sir, Brown called out, we're receiving messages from the observation fleet. They're demanding to know how we're still intact. No response needed, Walker said. Stone, how's our special surprise coming along? Engineer Stone's fingers flew across her console. Dark matter reactor at maximum output. The containment field is generating the quantum resonance wave just as we planned. Ready on your command. The gate launched its next attack wave, this time combining all its weapon systems into one massive assault. Energy beams, torpedoes, and gravitational weapons all focused on the human ship. Now, Walker ordered, full power to the modified shields. The Thunderchild's dark matter reactor pulsed with incredible power. Instead of trying to block the incoming fire, the ship's shields began to absorb and redirect the energy. Each impact caused ripples of power to flow back through the gate's weapon systems. Their power grid is destabilizing, Atlas reported. The quantum feedback is exceeding their containment system's capacity. On the main viewer, they could see confusion spreading through the gate's defensive pattern. Weapons began firing at random as their control systems struggled to handle the unexpected energy feedback. They never considered this possibility, Reed said, monitoring the tactical display. Their weapons are so powerful that no one ever tried to use that power against them. Stone's console suddenly lit up with new readings. Captain, the gate's quantum matrix is beginning to oscillate at the same frequency as our reactor. It's creating a harmonic resonance. The massive structure began to vibrate visibly. Sections of its perfect ring pattern started to flicker and distort as human ingenuity undermined alien certainty. Sir, Brown reported, excitement in his voice, the observation fleet is pulling back. They're ordering us to stop, saying we're violating the rules of the challenge. Walker stood from his command chair, watching as humanity's greatest achievement began to unravel the work of an ancient civilization. There's only one rule that matters: survive and adapt. Stone, push the reactor to maximum. Reed, target their primary power nodes. Atlas, calculate our breakthrough point. The Thunderchild's engines flared brighter as it pushed forward. Around them, the gate's defenses fell into chaos as their own energy was turned against them. Weapon emplacements exploded one after another as power surges overwhelmed their ancient systems. Breakthrough point identified, Atlas announced. Structural weakness detected in the upper quadrant. Their power grid is completely destabilized. Walker smiled as he watched the mighty stellar gate, pride of the alien confederation, begin to crack under the pressure of human innovation. Take us in. Let's show the galaxy what happens when they try to cage humanity. The watching alien fleet could only stare in disbelief as their greatest defense began to fall to a single human ship that dared to think differently. The space around the stellar gate had become a chaos of light and energy. Fragments of defensive satellites and weapon platforms drifted past the Thunderchild as it pressed forward toward its target. Inside the bridge, warning lights flashed as the ship's systems operated far beyond their normal limits. Reactor status, Walker called out, gripping his command chair as another shockwave rocked the ship. Stone's fingers flew across her engineering console. Dark matter containment field at 130% of rated capacity. The reactor's pushing harder than we ever tested, but it's holding. She paused, checking new readings. Sir, the quantum resonance effect is reaching critical levels. On the main viewer, they could see the results of their attack. The once perfect ring of the stellar gate now showed visible cracks, its surface riddled with power surges and failing systems. But it wasn't dead yet. Atlas, Walker commanded, show me the gate's current status. A detailed hologram appeared, highlighting the damage they'd caused. The gate's main power core is destabilizing, Atlas reported. However, it's attempting to compensate by rerouting energy through secondary systems. This is causing unprecedented stress on its structure. Reed's tactical display suddenly lit up with warnings. Multiple power signatures. They're trying one last defensive surge. The gate's remaining weapons all fired at once, creating a solid wall of energy between the Thunderchild and its goal. It was enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. This is it, Walker said, standing from his chair. All power to the modified shields. Stone, initiate the resonance pulse. Reed, plot us a course straight through their barrage. Atlas, calculate maximum structural stress points. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, each knowing their role in this historic moment. The Thunderchild's engines glowed brighter as it accelerated toward certain death or unprecedented victory. Resonance pulse charging, Stone reported, her voice tense but controlled. The reactor's dark matter field is synchronized with the gate's power frequency. When we release the pulse, she left the implications unspoken. The wall of energy drew closer. On the observation fleet ships, alien crews watched in horror as the human vessel did the unthinkable, It accelerated toward the attack instead of retreating. Impact in 5 seconds, Reed announced. 4, 3. Walker's voice cut through the tension. Release the pulse. Now. Stone slammed her hand down on the activation control. The Thunderchild's reactor released a massive burst of concentrated dark matter energy, perfectly tuned to the gate's power frequency. As the two energy fields met, physics itself seemed to bend. The ship's shields didn't just absorb the gate's attack, they turned it into a weapon. The energy was caught in a feedback loop between the Thunderchild's quantum shields and the gate's power core. Each second amplified the effect. Multiple structural failures detected in the gate. Atlas announced as new data poured in. Their power grid is collapsing, detecting cascade failures across all systems. The massive structure began to break apart, not with a dramatic explosion, but with the slow inevitability of a dying giant. Pieces of the ancient defensive ring cracked and drifted apart as its power failed. Forward shields buckling. Reed reported. We have to push through now. Walker's eyes fixed on the gap forming in the gate's ring. Full power to engines. Take us through. The Thunderchild surged forward, its hull groaning under the strain. Around them, the gate's defensive energy field flickered and died. Thousands of years of alien superiority crumbled in the face of human determination and ingenuity. With a final burst of speed, the ship broke through the gap. Behind them, the legendary Stellar Gate, pride of the alien Confederation, split apart into massive fragments. We did it, Stone whispered, staring at her readings in amazement. The containment field held. The reactors stabilizing. Damage report, Walker called out, though he couldn't keep a small smile from his face. Hull integrity at 82%. Atlas reported. All major systems functional. Shield emitters are damaged but repairable. No casualties. The bridge crew looked out at the star field beyond the gate's remains. No ship had seen this view in 10,000 years. Their victory was complete. Sir, Brown called from communications, the alien fleet. They're not pursuing. They're just sitting there, watching. Walker nodded slowly. Of course they are. They just learned something important about humanity. He turned to face his crew. We don't accept limitations. We overcome them. Through the viewport, they could see the debris of the Stellar Gate drifting away, a monument to the danger of underestimating human potential. 3 days after the destruction of the Stellar Gate, the UES Thunderchill floated in orbit around a neutral world chosen for the Emergency Confederation Summit. The ship's victory had sent shockwaves through the galaxy's political landscape, forcing an immediate reassessment of humanity's status among the stars. Captain Walker stood in the ship's main conference room, looking out at the gathered fleet of alien vessels. Unlike before, they kept a respectful distance from the human warship. Message from Earth Command. Sir, Officer Brown reported, entering the room. They're calling it the Gate Incident. Our video logs of the breakthrough have gone viral across every civilized world. Some alien species are already requesting technological exchange programs. Walker smiled slightly. Funny how quickly fear can turn to curiosity. He turned as Stone and Reed joined them, both looking tired but proud. Status report. The reactors completely stabilized, Stone said, pulling up a holographic display. We've had requests from 12 different alien engineering teams to study our dark matter containment system. They can't believe we developed it in just 5 years. Reed nodded toward the alien ships outside. Their military analysts are still trying to understand how we turned their own weapons against them. The Confederation's entire defense doctrine was based on overwhelming force. No one ever thought about using that force against itself. Speaking of the Confederation, Atlas chimed in. The High Council is ready to begin negotiations. They're requesting your presence in the summit chamber. Walker straightened his uniform. Time to reshape the galaxy. Stone, Reed with me. Brown, maintain ship readiness. Atlas, keep our shields at minimum power. Let's be diplomatic, but prepared. The summit chamber was larger than the previous meeting room, and far more crowded. Representatives from every major species in the galaxy had gathered to witness this historic moment. Council leader Brightstone Scales had shifted to a pale blue, a sign of respect in his species. Captain Walker, the alien leader, began as the human delegation took their seats. The Confederation has reconsidered its position regarding Earth and its colonies. Have you? Walker kept his voice neutral. And what position would that be? The crystal being chimed in, its tones more harmonious than before. We acknowledge that our assessment of human capabilities was flawed. Your species has demonstrated both technological prowess and tactical innovation beyond our expectations. Beyond your expectations, Walker repeated, because you assumed we would think like you do. That we would attack the gate head-on, trying to overpower it. You never considered we might find another way. The furry alien who had once shown such disdain now leaned forward with interest. Your method of using our own energy against us, it changes everything we thought we knew about defensive technology. The gate was supposed to be impenetrable. Nothing is impenetrable, Stone said firmly. Everything has a weakness. Humans are good at finding those weaknesses because we've had to overcome our own limitations so many times. Brightstone Scales rippled with multiple colors. We propose a new arrangement. Earth will be granted full membership in the Confederation, with all rights and privileges. In exchange, we request technological cooperation and cultural exchange. Cultural exchange. Walker raised an eyebrow. The crystal being's surface flickered excitedly. Your species' way of thinking. It's different from anything we've seen. You solve problems in ways we never considered. We want to learn from you, as equals. A holographic document appeared above the table, detailing the proposed treaty. Walker read through it carefully, noting how different it was from their original ultimatum. Atlas, he subvocalized through his neural link. Analysis. The terms are favorable, the AI responded privately. They're offering unrestricted access to their trade routes, scientific databases, and colonization rights. More importantly, they're acknowledging Earth's sovereignty and right to continue technological development. Walker stood, looking around the chamber at the assembled representatives of 1,000 worlds. The Thunderchild didn't just break through the stellar gate. We broke through your preconceptions about humanity. Remember this moment. Remember what happened when you tried to cage us. He pressed his hand to the treaty's authentication panel. Earth accepts your offer of membership as equals. Let this be the beginning of a new era, one where we work together to push the boundaries of what's possible. As the treaty was formally accepted, messages began flowing in from across the galaxy. Other species, seeing humanity's potential, were already seeking alliances. The age of human isolation was over. On the Thunderchild's bridge, the crew watched as celebratory lights flickered across the alien ships. They had done more than save Earth's future. They had changed the galaxy's understanding of what humanity could achieve. The stars themselves seemed brighter now, beckoning humanity forward into a future without limits.